Imagine, if you will, sitting down to your morning coffee, turning on your home computer to read the day's newspaper. Well, it's not as far
Yo, it's your boy Donze with Inspired Empire Podcast. Today we got my boy, my old friend, Shaq. I don't want to call you Shaquille. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, yeah, like you said, my name's Shaquille. By the way, thanks for having me on here, bro. It's a pleasure. Well, moved here years back from Chicago. I mean, you know my family, my brothers, my sisters, and stuff. Moved here with my mom and moved out to Utah to start a new life, bro. That's it, man.
Okay.
You know?
Now I know you was on the internet. And the reason why I brought you on is because you had this idea of creating a podcast, right? Just like how we are now, and you want to talk about athletes with mental health.
Right. Yeah.
So what makes you want to do that?
I mean, for me, the reason why I was inspired to want to do this podcast about athletes and mental health is just understanding what athletes go through on a day-to-day basis, right? You know, from the outside looking in, what everybody sees is just the physical things, you know, practices, you know, stuff like that, regimens, workouts, but not really understanding the mental toll that it takes on these athletes day in and day out, you know what I mean? From high school athletes to collegiate athletes. And I mean, we kind of see it with pros because, you know, the spotlight is always shined on them. But as far as like those people who don't really get the outlets to speak about this kind of stuff, I wanted to kind of give them a platform to talk about the daily grind and what it does to you mentally, because it's not talked about as much as I feel like it should. You know what I'm saying? So
Right, because that's important because like we were just talking about before, hell, in the black community, we don't really get to express ourselves.
Right.
Shit, men in general, we don't really get to express ourselves. So I think that's real important. As far as you playing sports, what sports did you play exactly?
I mean, I was always drawn to sports. You know what I mean? I ran track, I wrestled, I played football, I played basketball. So it was really like an outlet for me. You know what I mean? We speaking on the mental thing, and it was like, if I was having a bad day, you know, stressed out, things weren't going my way, I knew I could really, you know, block all that out when I was doing whatever sport I was doing. So I was just always drawn to it. And also it was like I was pretty good at it. You know what I mean? So it was just something that I always enjoyed doing.
How did it affect your mental though, like when those sports were done?
I mean, for me, it was like I feel like the mental thing really didn't hit me that hard until college. So like when I was doing high school sports, it was kind of like, all right, so during the fall I was playing football, right? Once football was done, I was wrestling. So I was always involved in the sports, and so it really, I guess I didn't have enough time to really pay attention to it. You know what I mean? Because then in the springtime I ran track. But once I got to college and, you know, the classes, the AM workouts, the two-a-days, stuff like that, that's when I really started to see the mental effects that it had on me personally. You know what I'm saying? Because day in and day out, no matter what, I had to get up and go play. You know what I mean? I had to get up and go to practice or get up and go do this workout. Even if mentally I didn't want to, I knew I had like an obligation to go do it. So that's when it really affected me. And I think it was the biggest when it was all taken away from me. I think that's really when it hit me hard.
Taken away from you as in?
I tore my ACL and my meniscus. Last play of practice when I was at Snow. And so something that I had seen that I had worked so hard for throughout my entire life, because I mean, I played football as a kid growing up. So, you know, at the age of 23, 24, what I've been, you know, grinding my whole life out for, just see taken away from me in, you know, blink of an eye. That's when it really, really started messing with my head a lot. And I didn't talk about it because like we just talked about, men really don't speak on the effects that the mental really has on us. You know what I mean? So I just kind of just took it as is and just kept it moving. But really on the inside, I was dying, bro. Like I was dying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro, because I was actually talking to my dad about this. In America, like we put sports like on such a high pedestal.
Right.
And instead of like trying to encourage like livelihood, it's more like sports. So like
100%.
when you don't make it or you don't get that scholarship or you get hurt, a lot of us just kind of plateau. Because I ain't gonna lie, I plateaued the same way. Like right after high school, I didn't get no scholarships. I was small, so like I wrestled and I would have to cut weight, then I had to bulk back up. And I wasn't that good at football, but I still played because I didn't really come from a family. You know what I'm saying? So I just like I did it because I was around all my friends. I felt like I was in a family. Right. But wrestling, I wanted to get a scholarship. I didn't get it, so it was just like all downhill. I just didn't give a fuck.
No, exactly. That's what it felt like. It was like, okay, so what do I do now? Type thing. You know what I mean? And then like, so for me, like when I talk about mental illness, I'm kind of new to it because of the fact that like when I was growing up, so my grandmother on my dad's side, she was raped and then she contracted HIV and died. And my dad was only 17 years old. So I never actually got to meet her. And so my dad fell into a very deep depression. And obviously I wasn't born yet, but as soon as I was born, my dad really wasn't all the way there. So he wasn't really involved in my life like that. And so his thing was he was always depressed. He just didn't feel like he was capable of being the father that he wanted to be. You know what I mean? Because he mentally wasn't there yet. And so it was one of those things where I used to hate the word depression. You know what I mean? When you talk about something like that, because I was like, it's a little scapegoat. It's just a crutch. You know what I mean? It's just something that he wants to use to not fulfill his fatherly duties. Now fast forward, blow my knee out. I'm depressed, bro. And so it like opened me up to understanding what depression really was and what it is and how it really can affect people in such a dramatic way that it, in turn, it really does turn them into different people. Like, they're not even the same person, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel like I was Shaq anymore. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I also didn't want to, like, put that on people. So when I'm around, like, for say you, me and you, we going out or something, you know what I mean, we kicking it, I'm not going to be sad. Because naturally, I'm a charismatic dude. I like to crack jokes. I like to, have a good time, fun, you know what I mean, all that type of shit. But I was also covering up what was deep down inside where I was just like, bro, I was fucked up. Like,
I feel like that's all of us, bro. Like,
yeah.
I've explained to E here. So like social media, going to the club and shit, everybody's just masking they shit.
Facts.
Spinning bottles and trying to look like they cool, but on the inside they really just fucked up.
Bruh, and that's what it was, bro. I really was. And it got to the point where, like, once my coach at Snow told me I really didn't have to show up to practices no more, nothing like that, because of my knee, he didn't want me to be mobbing around too much. Bruh, as soon as I was done with school, bruh, I was going to the liquor store. Like, and that's when it really got bad. You know what I mean? Because I had no other, like, route to take as far as, like, okay, what am I going to do with my time now? Like, I would work out, but as soon as my workout was done, bro, I'm at the liquor store. So, okay, I'm going to go get faded. All right, because even my professors told me I didn't have to go to class. They're like, oh, we'll just email you everything. So I'm like, bro, I got the whole day to just be like, all right, bet. I'm going to just kick back and do whatever I feel like doing. And obviously that wasn't a good thing. You know what I mean? It caused more issues. But, yeah, that's when I hit my lowest at that moment in time.
When you played football in college, did you ever deal with anything like as far as CTE or like?
No, because like for me, I mean, as many years as I did play football, I was able to avoid things like concussions. Like, I really only remember like one severe concussion that happened during a football game when I was like in the 9th grade. I got blasted by like some D linemen, like ear holes. You know what I mean? But outside of that, nah, it was really like what it did for me was really the losing it, not being able to play no more. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I didn't really just suffer any injuries like that. Like, thankfully, I really never got hurt when I was playing sports. I was normally good. Like, besides my ACL and that one concussion I just spoke on, probably the only other severe injury is I remember I like pulled my hamstring during a track meet, like running 100 meters, like I pulled it. But outside of that, I was really thankful. Like I said, thankfully, I was able to avoid those types of things.
Like, the only reason why I asked is because, like, for me, I've been playing since, 7th grade. I was always smaller than other kids, so I get hit in my helmet a lot. So, like, right. I'd get headaches, you know what I'm saying? I'd be telling my dad, like, man, that hurt. And in football, you know what I'm saying, you can't really.
You got to brush it off.
Yeah, you got to brush that shit off. You're get your ass back in there. you just ran this down. You need to go do it again, but your head hurt or like you pop somebody. And I experienced this. I thought it was just like football. I experienced this all the way up to semi-pro, bro. Like I was doing the same thing, and then I started semi-pro 16, turned 17. Another concussion, another concussion, another concussion. I didn't start noticing until my 20s that I'm like, bro, something's wrong. Right. Yeah, like I'm tripping. Like, cause I mean, you would see me at the club, I'd be wilding out and doing all that stuff. Like, I can't even have an argument, bro, like without blowing up. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like, I had to go to the doctors, and like kind of talk about CTE and stuff. And now I'm to the point where I'm like, damn, dog, do I even want my son to play this shit? Like, you know what I'm saying?
And that's fair, bro. That's fair. You
so
know what
like,
I'm saying?
Because for me, CTE is like, I don't know because I haven't been diagnosed, but I know I have that shit. So it's like one of them things, like I be feeling depressed at work, or like I'll have to like snap out of it. Like, bro, I'm tripping. Like I'll go take a walk or some shit. But like, as far as me, like playing football, and because it didn't work out, like I'll just keep playing because I don't have nothing else besides like my son and my girl. Like I'm like, I gotta do something. Yeah. And it's like football will take me out of that. Like, but if I get hit in my head again, it's just like fuck again.
How much damage are you really doing now? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then shit, that takes another toll on you because you're like, fuck, well, what am I gonna do now? I can just go to the gym and sit on my ass all day. You know? So,
and I think that's huge, bro, because I mean, you see now, especially in football, obviously, because it's like the biggest contact sport. Even with protection, bro, it's really, you know, these dudes are getting only bigger, faster, and stronger. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, as far as you being a father and having a son, as much as you and I both love football, it's like, is it worth it at the same time? Just seeing the kind of damage that can be done in the long run. Because the thing is, it's never instant. You know what I mean? It's like down the road, like you said, you didn't realize it until you was in your 20s. And then you notice, like, bro, like I'm getting these headaches, or like, you know, the crazy mood swings, you know what I mean? The aggressiveness, you know what I mean? And those are all clear signs of CTE, you know what I'm saying? And like just from seeing documentaries and just always trying to be involved in kind of like sports, I've noticed that, bro, like, think about it. All the dudes that have suffered like severe cases of CTE, they end up offing themselves. You know what I mean? Something like that, or, you know, offing someone else type thing, because, bro, they just don't know what's like, it's like a disease, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they say it's like a constant headache.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, and that's what I be feeling sometimes, like a constant headache. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's just
like, that's scary.
Yeah, exactly. But I ain't never had signs of like, man, I'm gonna hurt myself or something like that. But I mean, it kind of affected me because in the black community, or like even me being a man, like a man, I tell my dad, he'd be like, man, quit being soft. You know what I'm saying? Or like, I tell my mom, man, you need to toughen up. And it's just like, my mom, she's hardcore, so it's just like, damn. So I couldn't say shit, and then that affected me even further down the line, like relationships and shit. Because my girl be like, why can't you just tell me something? It's like, I'm a man, I'm not about to tell you shit. Like,
bro, 100%. Like,
exactly.
It's crazy. It's so crazy because then you look at like suicide rates are higher in men. You know what I mean? And it's because we have to just sit back and just take it all. You know what I mean? Women can cry, they can do all this stuff and express their emotions and get out, and everybody gonna be there patting them on the back like, hey, don't worry, it's okay. As men, oh, bro, you gotta toughen up, grow some nuts. You know what I mean? Stuff, you soft, you know, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. But it's like, bro, the women are not the only ones who are dealing with mental issues and mental strain and stress. I mean, if you look at it, it's putting more on us that we have to just take it. Bro, it beats us down. You know what I'm saying? Like, it literally beats us down, bro. There's no bigger exhaustion than mental exhaustion. Like, bro, I can work out for 2 hours straight, go home, relax, whatever, and I'll feel fine. You know what I'm saying? But if I go through a day of just mental strain all day long, whether it's work, relationship, family, whatever, if my brain is getting beat down in that kind of way, bro, I don't want to do shit.
You just want to lay down,
bro. Just
nothing.
And it's not even just like lay down, bro. It's like lay down and leave me alone.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want to be bothered by
on the phone,
nothing, bro. Like, I don't want to answer a text, a snap. I don't want to do nothing, bro. Like, I'm gonna put on TV and I'm gonna just chill, like, straight up, just leave me alone. You know what I mean? And then that ends up affecting everything else, because like you just talked about with your girl, like, bro, if my girl is trying to come see if I'm okay and I'm just like, bro, just leave me alone. again, she gonna do the same thing. Like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you talk to me? Why can't you say this? Why can't you say that? And again, being a man, it's like, well, I can't. You know what I mean?
I don't know how.
I don't know how.
Exactly.
The societal stigma is you can't talk about it.
Exactly. And you know what I'm saying? I want to raise my son to be able to express himself. Because even with me, like when my mom was like raising me, bro, I don't know if it happened with you because you grew up in a black household. Like you can't say shit to a black mom. Like if she was like, oh, well, you did this wrong. You was just like, well, why? It's not even talking back. It's just like, well, why is that wrong? Like you just want to know. She think you talking back, so she gonna whoop your ass.
It's her way or the highway.
Exactly. It's like, oh, okay, like, because even now I'm 26, my mom still be like, I'll be like, Mom, that ain't right. She be like, you don't talk back to me. Like, the hell, I can talk to you. I'm a grown man now. We gonna have a conversation, but like, you know, it's a weird stigma of like black men not being able to express themselves, and I feel like that shit's wrong.
It is.
It's wrong because like I even see it in my dad. Like, I'll ask my dad something how he feels. He can't tell you how he feels. Cannot tell you. He don't talk. He don't say nothing. He just chill, like real quiet. Don't say shit. And then you got like my mom. She'll express herself all fucking day. But
all day.
If I do it, she be like, man, you sensitive as hell. Like what the hell? How does that work, bro? Like that shit crazy.
It's the craziest. Like it's like one of the biggest societal like double standards that we got. Because my pops is the same way. Like with my stepmom, like he come home from work. And he just has one of them days, you know what I mean? You can kind of tell. You can, like, read it on his face or, like, his whole demeanor, you know what I'm saying? Because, again, I kind of get it from my dad. Like, my dad's a funny dude, cracks jokes, charismatic. People are just drawn to him. My mom's the same way. But, like, as far as, like, talking about the male aspect, like, my dad is like that. But when it comes to, like, him going through shit or dealing with something that he feels like he can't talk to nobody else with, he just, like, tucks that shit inside. And it eventually builds up, and then he just has one of them moments where he blows up. Man, fuck this, you know what I mean? It's just like, bro, if you'd have talked about that, this would have got avoided. You know what I mean? You'd be fine. Because I'm telling you, just like we talked about it earlier, when I finally spoke about what I had been going through since college, because, bro, I carried it for the last 5 years, like, bro. Once I finally spoke about it, because my mom, she called me, my brother hit me up, you know what I'm saying? I talked to my family, my sisters, my dad. They all were like, look, you got people around you that love you, you know what I'm saying, that want the best for you. They're not here to knock you down. They're here to only build you up. And once I was able to really express that to everybody and really understand what it felt like to get it out, like, off my chest for real, yeah, I've been doing a whole lot better since then. You know what I mean? It's still a battle. It's still continuous. You know what I mean? Because I have days where, like, I'm just chilling there, and I'm like, damn, I'm not doing enough. You know what I mean? And again, that falls on the whole aspect of, like, what's put on a man's shoulders. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, well, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. There I go again, going right back into that little hole. You know what I'm saying? That's
the thing with sports, bro. Like sports is made to build you up. So when you come out of sports, you're supposed to excel. Like,
yeah, take off.
That's just like the narrative. You're supposed to be killing it. They don't tell you when you go through sports and you don't make it, that shit will, like, you gonna start at the bottom. And
for real.
When you play sports, normally you don't start at the bottom. Like you walk in, you're like, I'm starting. I'm that guy.
For real, straight
you know
up.
What I'm saying? So if something happens, it's just like, whoa, what the fuck I do now? I gotta work. I gotta go to this shitty ass job that I don't like, where I don't get no fucking like respect. If I do something good, I'm still making like $10 an hour. Like, fuck this shit. And for me, I went through that shit for like years and years and years, bro. I hated my job. When I get off work, I was cool. But when I go to work, I'm like, fuck, dog. Bro, like, I hate this shit.
Tell me about it.
I fucking hate this shit. And it was like, bro, I remember my girl was like pregnant, and it was just like one of them things, like how you said you blow up. I remember I cried, dog, like, because I was working. Where was I working? I think I was working at Amazon. I cried, dog. I was like, wow.
Oh, yeah, because you went to Amazon after progression.
Bro, I didn't work so many jobs because it's like labor's not for me. That ain't my shit. Like, I watched my dad break his back with fucking Walmart distribution and still be like, bro, we still broke. Like,
yeah.
So that just wasn't for me, and I don't respect working my ass off and not moving up in a company. So it was just like, fuck that. I just remember crying to her, and I was just like, man, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm about to have this baby, and I don't want my son to like look at me like, man, it's like he ain't doing shit.
Yeah,
he ain't doing nothing with himself. He didn't do nothing to help us out. You know what I'm saying? So like that shit's rough, bro. And like you said, when I talked about it, and my girl was just like, you know what I'm saying? She kind of like consoled me, which was weird because like my mom, she kind of be like, toughen your ass up. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't quit crying. Like, nah, you ain't doing that. It was just like a different feeling.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, she was just like, I got you.
I remember too, like when I first really came out about the depression, it was this year. It was during the NFL draft, and I was sitting there, and I don't know why, bro, but for some reason this shit hit me like a ton of bricks. And my girl was on the phone, and then all of a sudden she like see me, bro, and I was just tearing up, couldn't hold them back. And she was like, hold on, I gotta get off the phone. I gotta take care of something. And she's like, what's going on? I was like, bruh, like all my life I was working to try to put myself on that stand, on that podium, you know what I mean? Hear my name called type shit. And when I tore my ACL, like how I explained before, I was breaking it down to where I was like, I watched that shit disappear, bruh. Like it vanished so quick, bruh. And then what made me so mad was I put in so much time to get there, but it left so quick. It wasn't like it was a gradual drop off where it was like, oh yeah, you gonna do this, and eventually I just stopped playing. It was like, nah, you did all this playing and then you can't play. It wasn't that I couldn't because of like I just wasn't talented enough anymore, you know what I mean, or something like that. It was flat out, nah, you just can't. It's done. Your knee's blown out, couldn't afford surgery, had no insurance, couldn't raise enough money through like GoFundMe and shit. So I was like, damn. And that even hit me too, because I'm like, damn, I thought I would have more people that would really like look like try to help me out, you know what I mean? And be like, yeah, we gonna get you right, boom, we gonna do this. You know, especially because I'm seeing all these GoFundMes raising 15, 20,000. I'm like, all I needed was like 3 or 4. I'm like, yeah, man, you know what I mean? Like shit. And then I shout out to the people that did help me, and they know who they are, but it was rough, man. It was like one of the toughest things I had to deal with, for real.
That's crazy, dog. Like, cause I ain't gonna lie, I remember playing because we played against y'all.
Yeah,
so
I remember you was on. It was the Shaq or whatever.
Yeah, we came out, and we played y'all, and shit, you was killing it. So like when you did get her, I was like, damn, bro. Like I was hoping you go back, but I remember you saying you didn't have like the money to do the
surgery.
You know surgery.
I mean, the doctor even was like, so originally the surgery was gonna cost $20,000. And the doctor who was going to do the surgery was so cool that he was like, look, I'll even do the surgery itself for free. And he was like, but the only issue is I can't do the whole thing for free because of the fact that the other money goes to the anesthesiologist who puts me under, and then you got to pay the hospital that holds the surgery. So the money I had to raise wasn't even for the actual surgery. It was only to pay the anesthesiologist and the hospital. So the surgeon was dope. He was like, bruh, whatever we can do to try to help you get back on the team. Because he liked me. You know what I mean? He watched the games. And so he was like low-key like a little fan. He was like, yeah, no, I've watched you play. I enjoy the way you play, whatever. And so I'll do it for free. Bruh, couldn't even come with that. So again, that's another shot to the gut. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, y'all can't help me out? Like, if I had it, trust me, I'd have been had my surgery. You know what I mean? But obviously, then coming from a family, I'm not coming from no wealthy family. My family ain't got, $5,000 just laying around to be like, oh yeah, son, go get surgery. We ain't have it like that. You know what I mean? I didn't have that kind of luxury. So again, it was just things compiling on top of each other, bruh. Just felt like when I was taking 2 steps forward, I was getting knocked 5 steps back.
I mean, that's what I was saying. Like with football, bro, like we put this shit on such a high pedestal, and like one thing I didn't do that I wish I would have did is those lessons that like your coach would try to teach you, like, hey, this is life, and you kind of be like, shut your ass up. Like,
I'm finna play football, bro.
You're like, bro, this is football. Shut your ass up. And then, like, when you graduate, you like, bro, I wish I would have listened to the motherfuckers when they were saying that shit, because I remember they'd be like, man, this is how life is going to beat you down. The way that these 2 days are going, this is how life is going to feel one day. Right. And you never listen to them. Like, shut your bitch ass up.
Bro, every time, like, bro, I'm not hearing that, bro. Just let me get the rock, bro.
Exactly. Like, come on, let's run these plays, whatever.
Yeah, for real.
Then that shit do happen. It's like, damn, that's what they was talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Straight up, bro.
As far as you know what I'm saying? Because I remember you saying that, like, your dad was kind of, like, out of it a little bit. How far did that affect you as well, like, growing up and, you know what I'm saying, with your mental?
I mean, of course, it affected me, but, like, the thing was, I had a stepdad growing up. So for the longest, I thought he was like my actual dad. You know what I mean? And then it came to a point where I found out that no, I had a real father that was out there. And then like I started seeing pictures that like my dad was around sometimes when I was like a little kid, but he wasn't like around. You know what I mean? And I guess it started affecting me more when I started knowing who he really was. Cause like there'd be times where he would say he's gonna come pick me up, but he wouldn't. You know what I mean? And as a kid, that's like heartbreaking. You know what I'm saying? Like you getting bags ready to go stay the night at your pop's crib, and then he don't show up. You know, give a call, be like, hey son, I ran into this happened. And so like for me, it just tainted his image. And so obviously I don't wanna like hate my dad. You know what I'm saying? I don't wanna resent this dude or like not want to be around him, because once our relationship got to a good point, I was like, bro, this dude's dope as fuck. Like, dude, cool as hell, funny as hell, easy to talk to. Like, bro, like an older version of me almost. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, it did. It affected my mental because, again, I guess, like, I feel like most kids go through this. It's like if you have a parent that's, like, neglecting you or doesn't want to be around you, you start to tell yourself it's because of you. You know what I'm saying? Or like, what is it that I did? Or what is it about me that makes, you know, whether a mother or a father not want to be involved in their child's life, you know what I mean? But that's also being a kid, because you don't know. There might be some shit going on. You know, you might have a crackhead daddy. Yeah, crack got a hold of him, you know what I'm saying? Mom strung out or something. You never know. But my mom did a great job of holding it down. So, like, also growing up, I never felt like I really needed him. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I watched my mom walk miles to our elementary school just to sign us up because we didn't have a car. You know what I'm saying? So I seen what it was like to witness a real parent, like, do their duty and do their obligation to their kids. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, growing up, I didn't feel like I needed them. But once we got around each other, I was like, oh, yeah, bro, this shit's dope. Like, dude's cool.
Because, I mean, for me, like, my dad was in my life, but it was just like he lived in Utah because I was in Missouri. So I was just wilding out down there. And like I had a stepdad and shit. And it was just like one of the weirdest fucking things because I knew who my dad was. It was like I wanted a father figure so fucking bad. Like, and I had the stepdad. And he went, after him and my mom went south, it was just like he told me he'd still come get me and shit. He'd never come get me, stuff like that. And it was never his obligation. But he basically raised me, so it was just like, damn, bro, that's basically my dad too, like
100%.
So when I moved out here, because my mom couldn't not control me, I was wilding, bro. So when I moved out here, it was just like I kind of resented my dad because like he had 2 kids, like he has my little sister that's not really his, but like that's basically my sister.
Right?
You
Nah,
can't tell me nothing.
blood not gonna change that.
And then I had my little brother, so I kind of like resented him because I'm like, damn, dog, like. What about me? Like, you didn't even try to come. Did you try to come get me? Like, fuck. Like, I want to be here with you. Why can't I be over here living nice with y'all? And, you know what I'm saying? So I resented them a little bit. But, like, me being older, bro, and, like, noticing how people are and, like, how it is. Because I have my own son now. I'm like, damn, bro. I felt bad. I even, like, resented him.
Yeah.
It's like, I can understand now. Like, shit happens. Like, because he did tell me, he was like, man, I put myself on child support. And he was like, at the time, me and your mom just was not. We was not on the same page, and I couldn't see you. Right. So it's just like, I didn't know that. Nobody would tell me that. So it was just one of them things. So I felt bad after that. But it's like, I'm kind of blessed, though, because if it wasn't for him, like, telling me certain things, I still did whatever the fuck I wanted to, which I shouldn't have. But he would just be like, man, you shouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because this, and this. Because, bro, every time we go somewhere, like, to the club or something, hey, man, I'll tell, like, a story about him. I'm like, damn, bro, you grew up in the house with your dad? Like, damn, you lucky. Like, you be surprised, like, how many times I hear that shit.
Right.
That shit's ridiculous, bro. Like,
it's crazy, for real.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking, because I know how that can affect some people, man. As far as you doing a podcast, like, when is your plan to get all that shit done?
To be honest, man, we still at the groundworks for this, because I'm still trying to figure out if I want to do, like, a co-host type thing. I already have obviously the basis of what I want to do. I want to talk about athletes and their mental health and how it affects them. But got to get equipment, got to get all that stuff done, because this is the first time I've ever done something like this. You know what I mean? Like, I listen to podcasts on a regular basis, all the time at work, just hours and hours of podcasts, all kinds, sports, personal success, you know what I mean, self-improvement, just all kinds of stuff, bro. And it's just like, to see the way technology has enabled us to be able to, you know, do stuff like what y'all doing with the podcast and be able to really give people a platform to speak on certain topics and issues that they may not talk about on a regular basis but need to be talked about. And so I'm trying to get it as soon as possible, but right now I'm just in the works trying to get this thing built from the ground up.
I mean, shit. What is it pretty much started the same way. When I had a conversation and equipment, money, all this shit. If you can find somebody, bro, that's just like, I mean, you don't really even need a co-host. It's just more of like you have to network and find your way into it. You can even look up on Google, all types of shit. But like if you could find somebody that works like good with your schedule and you both got the same understanding, I think you on to something, bro.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
For real.
I appreciate that, man.
For real,
yeah.
Bro. Before we wrap this up, man, what is something that you want people to know about you or just to know about the topic that you spoke about today?
So pretty much, I mean, I spoke about it before, like social media wise, but like for me, it's like, don't think this just happens to you. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole community of people that are dealing with depression, mental issues, you know what I'm saying? And the best thing to do is to really talk about it. You know what I mean? Don't hold that shit in because it only makes things worse. It amplifies all the bad, bro. Like my dad told me this the other day because, like I said, I broke it down to him. And he told me, he was like, son, what you got to do is when that depression is kicking in, that's because you're thinking about all your problems at one time. You know what I mean? And so now it's this one massive cloud that's just hovering over you every single day. He was like, focus on what you can control and break it down into small chunks. You know what I mean? If it's your relationship, fix that real quick. Now that's handled. If it's financial, well, get on your grind. Fix that. Now that's not a worry anymore. But if you're thinking about, family, relationship, financial, stress, babies, kid, with all this stuff, then, bro, it's overwhelming. And I feel like that at the end of the day, that's what depression is. It's just like this overwhelming feeling of failure. You know what I'm saying? So to everybody out there listening and everybody who's going through it, bro, you're not by yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's light at the end of the tunnel for sure.
Feel it, bro. Hey, man, well, that wraps up our segment, man. I appreciate you coming through.
Hey, Zay, my boy, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on here, bro. This is dope. Y'all onto something, too, man. This is going to be lit. I like this.
Anytime, bro. So, yeah, man, so that wraps up our segment. We'll see you guys next week. Church.